Something I've always wondered is what happens if you bring some expensive games to a game store, pawn shop, book off. What do they offer you? So, I've got a cardboard box of games I'm going to say I just got from my cousin or something like that. They just moved to college and I'm trying to get rid of some games. Got some titles in here that obviously no one cares about. Pets, Hamsters 2, Quick Yoga Training. But then we also have Earthbound, one of the most expensive titles on the SNES. So I want to give you guys a quick breakdown on the actual market value prices of these games before we go and show you what these stores offered me. Earthbound is the most expensive by far of the lot, especially complete in box. These will run between $2,000 and $3,000 on eBay. This one is complete with all of the scratch and sniff postcards, the registration card and everything, so I value it at around $2,600. Up next, we've got a bunch of Pokemon Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. We've got Yellow, which is around $300, Blue, which is around $300 as well, Red, which is a little bit more expensive because it has that Charizard text on the front, so this is about $325, and then Crystal, which is the most expensive of the Pokemon Game Boy Color games, this is around $450. Next up, for a little bit of variation in era of games, we have 3DS. So this is the Fire Emblem Special Edition 3DS game, Birthright and Conquest, and it also has Revelations on the cart. It's around $450 at the moment. We've got Kid Icarus Uprising, which is around $85, and then Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Y together is about $70 retail. And lastly, in order to make this look like it's not a collector's collection, but rather I really went to my cousin's house and just picked up a bunch of games, got a bunch of random junk, mostly for the DS and the Wii. So we've got Quick Training Yoga, Retro Atari Classics, Nintendogs, which isn't really junk, but it's pretty fun actually. Zoo Hospital for the Wii, it's a $3 game right there, and of course High School Musical Sing It with the microphone included, and this one is actually sealed. It's expected that game stores have a lot of overhead prices, so they're probably going to be paying around 40% of market. Let's see if they actually do that, or if they offer me about 4% of market. We're going to be doing a percentage comparison for what they offer us to market value prices. So if they offer us $2,000 for $3K, then we'll have a 66% off price, and then we can compare that directly to a place like GameStop, which won't take SNES games. Let's go to our first location. Hey, I have a bunch of games I'm looking to sell. Yeah. I got my cousin to college. I'm not really sure what they're all like.
Get this started for you.
I can't tell for sure, but what it looks like is that this first game store was scanning the barcodes of the games and comparing them to an internal system that they had. So, for example, if they were going to sell Pokemon Red for $500, it would say, okay, we can buy it for $50. This is pretty standard practice of a lot of stores that are part of a chain and they don't really have time to go look at eBay last solds for each and every game. But what it fails to take into account a lot of the time is boxes, condition, and current market value.
For stock credit or cash today?
I guess cash.
So trade, you're looking at $187.
Okay.
And then cash, you're looking at $140.
$140. Okay, cool. Thank you. I have a couple other places I just want to see what they're going to offer me.
Yeah, sure.
But I will let you guys know. 140. So 140 would just about not cover a half anything in here whatsoever, which is very entertaining. Stop number 2, we've got the pawn shop. I think they're going to offer us a little bit more. Let's see how it goes. Looking to sell. Yeah, and I got something Game Boy. You don't do, okay.
So whereas the game store had a pretty uniform way of checking prices, it looks like the guy at the pawn shop is literally just checking each game's last sold listings on eBay and then determining approximately what he could offer me for each. This is honestly a little bit surprising to me because this pawn shop was specifically advertising as an electronics focused pawn shop, and I would think that they would have a little bit of a formal process when it comes to pricing games, but you know, if they're sticking with current market values, then that could mean that their offer is going to be significantly better. Let's see.
50 bucks.
50? Okay. Let me think about it.
So, Pawn Shop wouldn't take the SNES or the Wii games because they said it was too cheap, but they essentially offered me $50 for all 4 of these plus the 3DS Pokemon games and the Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition. That's way worse than the GameStop.
Some guy got scammed and traded in a Switch Lite for $50.
Switch Lite for 50. I would say that definitely do not go to a pawn shop to sell old games.
Well, he was gonna come buy it back for like $20 more.
Yeah, I mean, that's what pawn shops are for.
I know.
The guy spent like a good 5 minutes looking at the prices
It
of
was
all
more
of
than
these.
5 minutes because I stopped the
Yeah.
footage in the middle.
These all together are probably around $1,400 a game.
If he was just gonna offer you $50, he could have looked up one of those.
Yeah, because I mean, just Yellow alone is like a $250, $300 game in this condition, first print. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Next up, we've got Book Off, which is essentially like a used books, electronics, movies store. It's only in California, so.
New York and Japan.
And New York and Japan. It seems like they have typically fairer prices. Obviously more than a pawn shop, but I guess we'll find out, right?
I feel like they're gonna have some rule where they can't pay over a certain amount to someone.
That's honestly fair. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Book Off is again a chain that has a much more uniform pricing system. So similar to the first game store I went to, they are simply just scanning in the barcode, seeing what it equates to in their system, and then coming up with the prices that way. However, they do state that their market value prices are more up to date, meaning that if I were to go to another store, for example, and then come back in a week, they might offer me a different amount.
So before finalizing, your total for these is 177.
177. Okay. Cool. I want to take them to a couple other places to see what they offer me, if that's okay. So they offered us 177 for everything other than the Fire Emblem and the Kid Icarus, because those are both not for resale. They're part of a bundle. And I didn't actually realize that meant that stores couldn't resell them.
These are for not resale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says not for resale right here. So.
Oh. The sleeper hit was High School Musical Sing It for $11, when Pokemon Yellow and Red and Blue were $20 each. I also lost $3 because I bought Easy Japanese for the DS. I thought it was entertaining. Lastly, we've got GameStop. GameStop doesn't actually take older gen consoles. They only take 3DS and onwards. So for our 3DS sample here, let's just go through it really quick. So we've got Barbie, Groom, and Glam Pups, which is essentially the holy grail of 3DS games. This is like a $1,700 game. Very, very, very hard to find. And I'd like to shout out my friend Professor Raishu for this. His Instagram will be in the description. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's go see what they're going to offer.
Everyone's familiar with how GameStop does their pricing. They have notoriously low trade-in values. That being said, I have gotten some absolutely abysmal offers from just about every other store I've been to today. So maybe it'll actually end up being better than the others. We'll see.
Well, that one we don't buy back anymore.
Okay.
This is truly the worst of times. GameStop wouldn't accept Barbie. I'm going to guess it's probably because they never sold it in the first place. It is exceedingly rare, but it still would have been pretty funny to see what they'd offer.
For credit, it's going to be $49. For cash, it's $39.20.
Okay, cool. Well, they offered 13 for everything other than Kid Icarus, which is 10. Which is also kind of funny because this is the most expensive out of the Pokemon games. And Fire Emblem 13 as well.
But they priced it as just Birthright.
But they just priced it as Birthright. I don't think they had the double pack in the system.
Which is interesting because you might be able to get one at GameStop for...
Honestly, yeah, you could probably get a steal on one of those. Probably $40 for the dual cart, which would be pretty insane. Yeah, so we've got every other place I could think of down in the books. GameStop, Book Off, a game store, a pawn shop. And now we're actually going to go into a different game store. I'm going to say that I know what I have. And let's see if we actually get an offer above $200.
Well, you're going to say you know what you have after they give you the initial
I'll
offer.
do it after, but I'm not going to just say I have no idea what this game is
Yeah.
worth. So, let's see how that goes. I predict we get an offer of around $500.
Yeah, okay.
Probably.
Got a bunch of games here.
Used or new?
No, they're used. Yeah. They all have the games in them. This last store isn't a chain in any way. This is their only location, and thus they don't have a computer system to scan in and check prices. So they're using eBay last solds, and they're using pricecharting.com, I would assume, to check what the current market values are. So the total was $16.70. Okay.
Without the pet hamsters.
Without pets hamsters, yes. With the pets, it'd probably be like close to $5,000. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I got offered $1,670 for the lot from this video game store, which is infinitely better than any of the other examples that we went to today. I'm definitely a little bit happier with that, just a little bit. That's actually a percentage I can work with if I really was looking to sell all these games. Yeah.
And with that, all of the data is in. So discounting that last game store because it was obviously not in line with what I was doing for the first 4, let's go through each of them in order and see which gave us the best proportional offers. In last place, we've got the Pawn Shop at 2.5% of retail. In third, we've got Game Store 1 at 3.1% of retail. Second place goes to Book Off with 4.4% of retail. And drumroll, please. First place goes to GameStop at 6.5% of retail. These results were definitely not what I was expecting. I was thinking we'd probably get offers around 20% of retail at each of the stores, and not less than 10 for every single one I feigned ignorance at. Just for reference, at the second game store, we got 36.4% of retail, which is honestly a pretty respectable figure. But I do have to put the disclaimer out there that we did bring less games to GameStop because they wouldn't take anything before 3DS. So of course they're going to have a higher proportion compared to the other stores where we took 10 to 15 games. But nonetheless, I really don't think anybody comes out on top here. Even if GameStop was ahead by like a whole 1.5%, it's not really impressive considering all of these numbers are under 10% of retail, which is very, very low. So yeah, there you have it. The total value of the lot that I brought in was $4,580. It's perfectly reasonable for a retro game store or any sort of store that's reselling goods to look for about 40% of market when they're buying lots that big. 40% of $4,580 is $1,832. The highest offer I got was $1,670. However, the average offer I got was more around $150. That's pretty ridiculously low if you ask me. Even considering fees, if they gave me $1,000 at some place like Book Off or that first retro game store that I pretended like I didn't know what was going on. Even considering fees, taxes, and overhead costs, at Book Off or that first retro game store I went to, if they offered me $1,000 or so, they'd still be making quite a nice profit off of a lot like that, especially with games that are so easy to sell, like Pokemon titles or Fire Emblem or Kid Icarus. I think what this goes to show is if you don't know what you have, stores are going to take advantage of you. It's really important that you have an idea of the value of things that you're selling. Otherwise, if you go in there and say, I'm just looking to get some quick cash, they're going to lowball you as hard as they possibly can. So you'll go out feeling like you've made something and they'll be able to make as much profit as they possibly can. In order to best combat this, it's really important to look up sold listings on eBay. It's the simplest way for you to get an idea of the value of the games that you have. All you have to do is go to ebay.com, type in the search, and then scroll down to sold listings, check off the box, and see the average that item is selling for. Of course, that's not a perfect example because best offers aren't shown on eBay, but it gives you a pretty general idea of what you have. In addition to that, you can go to pricecharting.com, which takes these sold listings and graphs them out for you, so you can see an approximate value of the item that you have over time. This is a really good way to avoid getting ripped off by a game store that is just looking to make a quick buck. This is something I have always wanted to do, and I would be lying if the results didn't surprise me at least a little bit. I was expecting to get around $1,000 per store, as that would have been plenty of room for them to make a lot of money, and of course I wouldn't have walked out of there feeling like I was completely empty-handed. It was really fun that I got to experience something like this, and big shout outs to my friend Professor Raishu on Instagram. I will link his Instagram in the description and right here on screen, for helping me out with the filming, with the idea, and with the execution. If you like this type of content, I will be making some more video essays in the near future, some reviews, some unboxing videos, so be sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you did enjoy this style of video. I know it's very different from anything I've ever done before, but it was very fun to make. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.